This is the edge of Antarctica from 400 meters up, a cliff of ice running to the horizon in both directions. Everything in this film that was photographed is above the ice. Nothing underneath it has ever been seen by anyone. It is a continent nearly twice the size of Australia, and almost none of what you can see is land. A lid of ice, 4,757 meters at its thickest. Nobody expected what was under it to matter. It matters. There is enough water here to raise every sea on Earth by 58 meters. And for that century, it was simply the coldest, emptiest place we knew. It is about 60% of all the fresh water on Earth held still. Stand at the South Pole and you're standing on 2,700 meters of it. The rock is far below your feet. Even the ground will not hold still. The marker at the pole is replanted every year because the ice carries it 10 meters away. In 1958, a Soviet convoy set out across the flattest ground on Earth. Everyone aboard expected the same thing underneath them, rock more or less flat, holding the ice up. So they stopped, fired a charge into the ice, and timed how long the sound took to come back. It came back late, far too late. Under the flattest place on Earth, there were mountains with the relief of the Alps. That was the first thing we had wrong. Finding out what else was down there took 60 years of flying. Because ice is transparent, not to light, but to radio. Send a pulse down, part of it comes back off the rock. Fly that for 60 years and the lines become a map. 1.9 million kilometers of flight line. The gaps are solved, not guessed. Every photograph anyone has ever taken here is of the top of it. So go down instead, from the only surface anyone has ever stood on. So go down instead. Nobody has been here. This is what the measurements say is under your feet. 3 kilometers of ice, sealed since before there were people to wonder about it. Past the depth where the last daylight gives up. Down here, ice is not frozen water, it is rock under enough pressure to flow a few meters a year in the dark. The flights kept finding something that should not have been there. Not rock, flat, bright reflections, the signature of water. More than 675 lakes under kilometers of ice in permanent darkness. Everyone assumed they were relics, sealed, sterile, dead. In 2012, Russia reached one after 2 decades of drilling, through a borehole held open with kerosene. Whatever came up, nobody could trust it. So the next team did the opposite. Sterilized hot water, nothing in the hole that was not already ice, 800 meters down. It was full. 130,000 living cells in every milliliter. No sunlight, no surface, running on crushed rock. 4 in 5 sit still. The rest do what a seal pocket should not. They blink over months on the satellite record. 5 years later, another team went deeper. Lake Mercer, 1,087 meters. They brought up the carcass of a crustacean. The team's first thought was not discovery. It was that they had contaminated their own sample. Then, a satellite watched one empty itself. Not the water, the roof sinking, then rising downstream. 290 kilometers. The whole hidden landscape drains. One buried river runs 460 kilometers and has never seen the sky. When two lakes above Bird Glacier let go, 75 kilometers of ice sped up 10%, then slowed when the water ran out. Come back up. The ice had been keeping something too. Every layer of snowfall seals bubbles of that year's air, not a record of the ancient atmosphere, the atmosphere itself. For 800,000 years, between about 170 and 300 parts per million. Today, 429. Last year, a team reached bedrock and brought up ice that should be more than 1 million years old. Nobody has read it yet. Which leaves the last thing we had wrong, that however strange this place is, it is far away. Warm water has found the line where the ice stops resting on rock, retreating fastest where the hidden valleys guide it in. One glacier carries most of the argument. Thwaites is about 120 kilometers across, the widest on Earth. Across this sector, the ice going into the sea has more than doubled since the 1990s. This century, perhaps 6 centimeters from this one glacier, and that is still argued. If Thwaites went entirely, 65. The people who study it hardest are clear. No collapse in the coming decades. A slow emergency is not a small one. There is one more thing under there. A rift more than 3,000 kilometers long and 138 volcanoes along it. This is where we came in. The same cliff, the same 400 meters up. We called it a blank. It is a landscape, and the shape of ground nobody has ever seen is deciding where every coastline goes.